Hello and welcome to Studio 10 and All About Kilkenny, a brand new TV programme which we hope you're going to enjoy. We're coming to you from the Twilight Community Centre here in the heart of Kilkenny. And over the course of the next few weeks we're going to be talking to people all about Kilkenny and different aspects of life here in Kilkenny. Hope you enjoy the programme. Our first guest today is the chairperson of Twilight Community Group, Mr. Murty Brennan. Murty, welcome to the very first programme from Studio 10 of our new programme, All About Kilkenny. How are you?
Very well, thanks very much for having us, Frank.
It's really exciting, Murty, really, and you might just maybe tell us, I suppose, about your own vision behind the idea behind Studio 10 and the broadcast that we hope to do going into the future.
Well, you see, the way this is set up, it's part of the Twilight Community Group. Now, that is a group that promotes diversity, inclusion and equality. Okay, so what we're trying to do is bring Kilkenny to everybody and show the diverse society we have now. I mean, like, we have many different new communities that have made Kilkenny their home. Okay, and we've got to respect their cultures as well. Now, so in the programme, it gives an opportunity to go and meet these people. It also gives an opportunity to speak to our seniors, which are probably the cohort of our society that a lot of people forget, and they have a vast knowledge. So, like, I mean, I know you have plans in your programme to go out about and meet people around the city, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity to show Kilkenny, as it is a complete and diverse community.
It really is, like, and it's of course we've got such a global community now, haven't we? So the idea again, of course, because we're part of the Twilight European network, that people maybe living abroad can actually see the programme as well. So it's a great opportunity to speak to local people, as you say, bring their stories to a global audience too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the Twilight Group now has 18 different partners right across Europe and beyond, okay? And each one of them are connected to us in a kind of a network. And if you look at it, it's Twilight European Network. So what you have then is you have the opportunity that people that are living abroad, they may be from Kilkenny or they may be from Ireland, but they'll have an opportunity to look back in and see what's going on in Kilkenny.
Absolutely. And again, just to go back to the work that obviously you are really involved with the Twilight Community Group here in Kilkenny. As I said, you work with different groups within the city and the county. And again, this is a chance for us to get to know people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, one of the, let's say, the objectives or targets of the studio itself, we'll say we'll have your programme who will introduce these people to the system and introduce what we're doing here. But long term, it would be great that we say that the Romanian community or the Polish community or the African community can actually produce their own shows. And they would have a programme that is by them for them and for their particular interests. But as we said earlier on, that we have to respect all these new communities, their cultures, their history and their heritage. And now, by doing it this way, it gives you a unique opportunity to show your heritage, your culture and history to the other communities as well. And doing that on the European network allows us to do that.
Again, there was a major conference on during the year, Murty, here, organised by yourselves in U Park. And again, there were many guest speakers on it. It was a very important event. And I know we're going to have some of the guests who presented featured on the programme as well. But tell us about that conference.
That is part of our, it was a 3-year programme that we did through the European Union, and it was on the stigmatisation of migrants. Now, that event attracted 15 different nationalities to Kilkenny. And again, it's the same thing. We had, this year, we would have had the CEO from the Immigrant Council of Ireland with us. We had Stephanie McDermott from Carroll College, who is very active in the Rohingya crisis. And also then we would have had DR.Amanullah De Sondy. And every year that event is attended by a very large diplomatic presence from the embassies here in Ireland. And they see the benefit of it because it allows this interaction as well between the communities when they're here. And one of the things we did this year is we allowed each country to have a display of their culture in the hotel. And that was kind of a new step forward. Now, in 2023, we have 2 conferences. right? One will be on culture and heritage and arts, music. So we will be bringing musicians from all over Europe with their traditional instrument, and they will be here during St. Patrick's weekend of 2023. And then in October, for the Savour Food, what we're organising is a international culture cuisine event where we'll have chefs from all over Europe, and all our partners are coming here and they're going to make samples of the food for the public.
Brilliant. It's a really exciting programme that you've got planned. And as we mentioned, embassies as well. You've got another role as well. You work alongside the Polish embassy here in Ireland, and you're the honorary consul.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I took up that position in just before COVID, because we opened up the consulate, and then on the 2nd of March, we had to close it on the 17th of March, right? So it's an opportunity. The idea behind it is that we will promote the culture and the arts, but also commerce, and we will promote that to the people of Ireland and businesses. We look at opportunities for Irish companies to invest in Poland, but also for Polish companies to come and invest in the southeast of Ireland. And we do that by connecting the chambers of commerce. And what we do as well here in Kilkenny is a few occasions during the year, what we do is we would have the Consulate Affairs group here with us, and we'd have a Consul Day, a meeting, and that is where people from the southeast, for anywhere in Ireland really, can come to us, make an appointment, and they can renew or get new passports. So it's a lot of services that we provide to the Polish community. But I would have to mention that other countries, because it is a consulate and because Twilight Community Group covers all the other communities, we will get a lot of inquiries from other communities to come. Is there any opportunity you might be able to help us, especially with Romanian inquiries?
Excellent, excellent. I know another project which is very close to your heart as well is the Project David. Yeah,
David was something that about 12 months ago, we were approached to know we do something for the LGBTQAI+. Now, I did inform the people that came that I knew nothing about it. And for us to write a programme, I said, you'd have to go away, come back to me, and I said, really educate me on what you want. And they did. They came back and they were saying, look, we need to have more awareness. We need to have our community be more visible. We need to have more inclusion and diversity. So we set about writing a programme for that, and we called it David. And it stands for Diversity, Awareness, Visibility, Inclusion, Development. And it is in honour of David Norris and the work that he's done in this area. And he was informed us during one of the interviews that when they had the first Gay Pride Parade in Dublin, there were 7 people at it. And now there's up to 70, 80,000. So what we did for them is we used our studio facility here, and we made podcasts, and we had people in from the different trans life. And we discovered then that a lot of these people don't have a safe and secure place. So we offer our space then to the likes of Trans Life for their meetings. One of the things that we say here in Twilight is that men, women, boys and girls are all welcome in all of their diversities.
Fantastic. Just a small example of the much work that's done by Twilight Community Group. Murty Brennan, Chairperson of Twilight Community Group. We look forward to working together here at Studio 10, and can I thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Frank, and with the ideas and plans you have for the head, I think it's going to be an exciting time.
To welcome our first musical guest to the programme, and he's local singer-songwriter Mick Walsh, who's going to perform for us tonight some of his songs.
Set out from Ballycallan in 2019, Billy Shock the first pilot on the journey. TK at the back pedalling hard as can be. Cross layer on their minds to reach their destiny. Well, they reach the other side with the winds on their back, passing by Portsmouth drinking beer on their tracks. Well, they're heading on to Dover, France, Belgium, Amsterdam, posting videos to WhatsApp and showing where they were. Rockin' on, pedaling along, rockin' on, singing a song. Rockin' in the free world on the tandem bike to North Cape, Norway. New pilot Martina, well able for the chore. A workmate of Tom Kennedy on the council floor. Well, she's carrying on the journey through Germany, Denmark. Puncture heat and headwinds before she disembark. More than 600k over her 4 days. New pilot Tony taking over on the way. He's checking out the maps and the weather.
Mick, that was great, and so nice to talk to you, and thanks for coming in.
No problem at all, I'm here now anyway.
Yeah. Well, listen, I suppose the songs that you picked there for us, for the opening song was From Ballycallan to the North Cape. Maybe just give us some idea how you composed or what the idea behind that song.
Yeah. Well, my good friend Tom Kennedy works below Kilkenny County Council.
Yeah.
And he took on a very big challenge. He's visually impaired from an accident, and he took on a trip on a tandem bike with the help of a lot of his friends from around Kilkenny and some of his work colleagues. They took on a trip which I followed. There was a WhatsApp group set up, and that traced the whole trip from Kilkenny to the ferry to Rosslare, from Rosslare into England, into the UK, down on, and then went up all the way up to the North Cape. And I traced it all the way along on the WhatsApp messages. And within a week after he had finished his cycle, I had the song wrote. And I also composed a tune to do with it. Yeah.
And now,
a friend of mine.
Yeah, it's a brilliant song. And again, to mention the tune, because you kindly offered for us to use as our backing track here each week on the programme, one of your instrumentals. It's beautiful. Again, it's called the Tandem Bike Tune.
Yeah, the Tandem Bike Tune. I wrote that based on the cadence, if that's the right word to use, of the pedalling of the bike.
Yeah.
On the, because if you're visually impaired, you have to understand.
Yeah.
There's different things going on, and you're on the back of that bike. So I decided I would get this tune together to the cadence or the pedalling rhythm of the bike, and at the same time we had one of those famous country singers was visiting Kilkenny, and he was playing in Nolan Park, and the chorus of the song I put into it was rocking on, singing along, because my good friend Tom, he's also a musician and plays guitar and sings songs. So I decided every chorus was going to have him singing a song as he's pedalling along, kind of.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Of course, Mick, your love of music goes back a long way, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, you go back to Dublin, back to the heights of the, I suppose, the ballad scene.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Dublin throughout the 1970s.
Yeah.
I moved to Dublin in 1972.
Yeah.
And I stayed in anywhere I could within reason. I started off on the Ivy Hostel and down out, and I got working part-time. I was in the motor trade, I got working part-time in Slattery's and Cape Street, and I listened to all the musicians, and I always had a few guitars under the bed in my bedsit. And one night I came home and there was only one there instead of two, so lovely fella had come in and robbed one of them.
Yeah.
But I have a banjo, tenor banjo, which I bought in Slattery's. I bought it for £20 in 1974.
Wow.
And it was owned by Bob Lynch from the Dubliners, so I still have that instrument.
That's wonderful. That really is. So again, I mean, when did you get, I suppose, the love to start doing your own music, your own songs? How did that come about?
I didn't start very early on. I put one or two songs together, and I just decided not good enough, so I gave it up. And then about 10 years ago, I started putting a few verses together. And my father always was able to write songs and verses about different sporting events, hurling matches and things like that down in County Waterford. So I decided I'd try and keep it going. So I did, and I've wrote a load of songs in the last 10 years, lots of them now, you know.
And the great thing, of course, Mick, about yourself as well is that you're very proud of local input into it. Like you produce your music here in Kilkenny.
I do get all done locally, and all my effort has been helped by the people who come to Clears and Kilkenny on the Monday night. And they would have inspired me, and they would have been very creative, some of those as well. Jimmy Ratty and Jerry Moore and them, and I probably would have learned a lot from them. So.
And you've also been very good at producing excellent CDs. I mean, I think this is your most recent, Put the Halfpenny Down.
Yeah, Put the Halfpenny Down.
And again, how did that title come about?
Well, I lived beside the railway line.
Yeah.
In County Waterford, and we had a house overlooking the line. And you see the trains going on during the night, and we when we were very small, we used to smoke the Woodbine cigarettes and put the halfpenny on the railway line. We were taught this trick by an older individual. Put the halfpenny on the railway line, the train would flatten it and go over it and make it the shape of a little bit flatter but bigger. And the prints of the harp and whatever's on the opposite side would always remain, but on the new kinds, I've tried it and they don't, the prints go off. So I was able to go to the shop to this woman. She was an elderly lady and she had very poor eyesight, so I produced the kinds. So give me 5 Woodbines, please, even though it was halfpenny. She didn't realise it was the Irish kinds because the harp was on them all, and I used to get double the I was getting a penny in those days. Would get 2 Woodbines, and she used to have them. You could buy them on their own. You could buy one Woodbine,
different times.
Woodbines, yeah.
Different times, Mick.
That song was about that.
Yeah. So again, I was going to say, obviously, you mentioned again, Facebook. Any maybe of our audience watching tonight will know you from Clears.
Correct.
Because the Monday nights there have been going for a long time now and are so popular.
Yeah.
But your Facebook page is very important too. You might maybe just tell us about getting access to it. And
when the first lockdown came way back in March 2020, the pubs all closed down, and I decided. Well, my son said to me, "Why don't we just try and do something live?" And he's a musician as well. Qualified music, like he studied music, and he was living at home at the time when we started doing the live Facebooks, and we built it up. And I remember then I said I'd share it onto different groups all over the world really, and with people from Australia, New Zealand, the States listening to me. I've been doing it on my own since my son went back to work, because I'm retired from my day job, and that started on the Monday night when the first lockdown came, and I decided I'd continue on and change it to the Sunday night. And I was writing the songs all during the lockdown. I wrote a lot of songs, and I kept introducing them to the audience that I had, and it built up from there. My Facebook, live Facebook music has been, I would say, successful for me anyway.
Absolutely.
It's helped a lot more people get on my YouTube channel, which I use as Mick Walsh. And I might have started off with about 80 in that, in the first lockdown. I know well over, I think it's 240, which is a lot for me,
Brilliant. Well, listen, Mick, it's always wonderful talking to you.
Yeah.
And thanks very much for coming over to join us on our first programme.
Thanks for having me here,
It's my pleasure. And we're going to finish up with one of your songs, and it's called Parnell Square.
Yeah, that's grand,
Mick Walsh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, the weekend nights we go out in the town, head to a pub, get a few drinks down, on to a dance in Parnell Square, tidy up, comb the hair to the doorman, sometimes had to explain, sober up quickly we had to feign. Would you like to dance with me tonight, a jive or a waltz, would you like to try? Take her hand, way to the floor, the big band sound made a slide and flow, the loud trombone, the saxophone, lead singer singing their songs to the fore. At the end of the set we'd chat and talk, another dance on, then we'd walk, sometimes up to the mineral bar, other times back again to the floor. Dances are here from the north and the south, east and the west from Dublin town. Would you like to dance with me tonight, a jive or a waltz, would you like to try? Take her hand away to the floor, the big band sound made a slide and flow, loud trombone, the saxophone, lead singer singing their songs to the fore. Most of us came from the Bedsit land, red mines or car, dance to the band, taxis are waiting outside the door, bringing us back to a flat road. Make the date for the middle of the week at Cleary's Clock, O'Connell Street. Would you like to dance with me tonight? A jive or a waltz, would you like to try? Take her hand away to the floor. The big band sound with a slide and flow. The loud trombone, the saxophone, lead singer singing their songs to the fore. Said her name was Kathleen Brown, she came from near Donegal town. We agreed to meet on a Wednesday night, romance in the car for another while. Dublin City in the 1970s, the place to be when you're in your 20s. Would you like to dance with me tonight? A jive or a waltz, would you like to try? Take her hand way to the floor. The big band sound with a slide and flow. The loud trombone, the saxophone, lead singer singing their songs to the fore.
Many thanks to Mick Walsh for joining us on About Kilkenny today and sharing some of his great music with us on the programme. Now for our next item, recently here in Kilkenny at New Park Hotel, in fact, the Twilight Community Group organised a major conference and it looked at the many challenges facing migrants today. There were many guest speakers who attended the event and we were there with our cameras and I had the pleasure of speaking to some of the guests who spoke on the day. So we're here at New Park Hotel for the international conference and I'm delighted to be joined here in our little studio with one of the speakers here this afternoon, and it's DR.Amanullah De Sondy, and he's the Head of Religious Studies at UCC. Doctor, welcome to the programme.
Thank you for having me.
It's so nice to talk to you, and maybe just a little bit of background about yourself and the role that you have in UCC and so on. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been at University College Cork since 2015. I was born and raised in Glasgow to immigrant parents who came from Pakistan. My dad came in the 50s and my mum came in the 60s. I got my PhD in 2009. I went to the States for 6 years. I wanted to get a little bit closer to home, and the job came up in Cork, and here I am, absolutely loving it. So in Cork, I am currently the head of the Study of Religions department. I'm a senior lecturer in contemporary Islam, and I'm also the chair of the Race Equality Forum. Welcome
to Kilkenny. And I was just watching your presentation, Doctor, and I suppose the first question you asked, maybe I could ask to you as well now. What is religion?
This is a question that in a religions department we always tell our students we're never going to be able to give you a proper answer to.
Yeah.
There are so many different dimensions to this word, different approaches to looking at it. Are we looking at religion from a historical view, a theological viewpoint? For me, religion is really something that deals with our ultimate questions. Religion, as I say, is not a thing that walks in the street. Religion is embodied through different people in the street. I joke to my students that when you see Judaism, Christianity or Islam walking down the main street in Cork, please say hello from me. And my students just kind of laugh and I'm like, but that's what we do. We often think of Islam says or Judaism says or Christianity says. What we have is in fact people who live out that religion. And for me, religion is about a drive to find the answers to three ultimate questions. And the three ultimate questions are, where did I come from? What am I doing here? And where am I going to end up? Now, you might be able to find an answer to that. As I'm a Muslim, I find the answer to that, a compelling answer to that of as a person of faith from Islam, but you could get it from any religion or as a religion you want to understand it, or you could get it from a culture. Remember, there are many different ways of seeing things and understanding things and finding answers to life that are beyond texts, that are beyond words.
Yes.
You know, I'm greatly challenged by my colleague who teaches I would say Irish kind of pagan religions, where she challenges me to look at the idea of trees and esotericism. And somebody like myself who believes in Islam, it is a very humbling experience, because I really truly believe that no one religious tradition has a monopoly on the truth.
And I suppose it's also how we interpret ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Depending on what religion we follow or don't follow. But the rules or regulations or whatever we want to call them, it's how we interpret them.
Absolutely. I think it's all about interpretation.
Yeah.
It's about how you understand. If you're looking at a religion that has a text, right? And as a Muslim, as Islam comes from the biblical monotheistic legacy of Judaism, Christianity and Islam, which are lumped together, we are religions of scripture. We are religions of texts. And so the text needs interpretation. And that's why we have such contention and discussion, because a text requires the human initiative of thinking through, and we don't always agree on that interpretation. But it's fascinating that holding this all together is this absolutely fantastic idea of God that we've been told for several decades and centuries that it's going to become outdated, but it's not. It still infuses within people good. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't make people do bad things,
yes,
right? Because here I'm talking about homophobia, Islamophobia, racism, slavery. All of these things can be fueled by religion and its interpretation. But let's not forget all the beautiful, wonderful things religion gives us. Charity, caritas, tzedakah, justice, fairness, equality. And so we have to put it into a bigger picture.
And I suppose building bridges within communities. The beauty of today's conference and of Twilight, as you know, is that it's about a community.
Yeah.
And all of the, I think, presentations today are very much open to listening to other communities. So again, same with religion, isn't it? That we are all open.
Yeah.
We can believe,
Yeah.
but to be open to other people, friends,
Absolutely.
and to listen.
Absolutely. I think to be challenged by the other is so important. I understand my uniqueness as a Muslim, growing up in the west of Scotland, in Glasgow, where I'm fully aware of sectarian divisions between Glasgow Celtic and Glasgow Rangers, between Protestants and Catholics, because my parents infused within us at home a very Punjabi, Pakistani Islam, which I am fully at home in, but also I'm able to deal with what's happening outside in the streets of Glasgow. And I think that education has empowered and given me some idea of how to live and thrive in Cork.
And if you don't mind me saying so as well, listening to your presentation and reading some of what you've written and spoken about on media, you don't forget your past. You're very proud of your culture, where you came from Glasgow, to where you are now. So you've brought all that to the table, which is good.
We must.
Yes.
We have so much to be proud of.
Yes.
One of my favourite statements I got when I was studying for my undergraduate degree at Stirling was one of my lecturers said to us in a lecture, be open-minded, but don't be so open-minded that everything falls out. Sometimes when we have students in religion, they come in and they're like, oh, everything is peace, everything is love. And I'm like, no, you have to understand there are markings, there are boundaries, there are bad people wanting to do things to good people. We must continually challenge ourselves and question and probe where we may disagree, right? And I think that's very, very important for us to do. But it's also important to be proud of who we are and to accept that we can live equally and differently. I can radically disagree with somebody on a point of religion or theology, but I want to live side by side with them, right? And I would be, I talk about issues that are very contentious, let's say gender, race, sexuality. I talk about Islamophobia.
Yes.
These are not easy topics.
And you've faced some challenges yourself, haven't you? In since you came here.
I have.
Yeah. How did that affect you?
It affects me every day. My office is alarmed now, unfortunately. So every day when I go into my office, I see an alarm which I have to put off and put on, and I do sometimes look behind my back, you know, as I'm walking down the street as well. So it's an interesting challenge, but it's also a privilege. You know, that's probably one of the reasons why I do what I do. In this privileged position, I want to speak up for minorities within minorities. I want to be able to call for equality, and I want to ask difficult questions, because I take ownership of where I am. I take ownership. I've applied for naturalisation, my citizenship of Ireland. I feel proud of being here, and I feel that if we don't challenge ourselves and who we are in terms of what we understand of what is Irishness, what it means to be in Ireland, in modern Ireland in 2022, why are we not doing that? What are we going to do to strengthen that, so that we can all enjoy, you know, and have fun, and so that everybody has fun, and by asking those difficult questions.
If I might ask you, maybe just for one idea, for those who are watching our video here today, and for what we can all do, even one little thing that we can all do to make life a bit better, what would you say? My advice would be, jump out of your comfort zone. What have you done that is something radically different than what you always do? And I'll give you the example. I was a high school teacher in a former life, and when I was teaching in what I would say it was a predominantly Asian, and Asian in Glasgow means Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh school. There was probably about 90-something% of students in the school. And every time I went in to teach these students, I would always notice that all the brown kids would sit together, and there'd be a table of just white kids. And I always thought, why can't you just mix? Why can't you just... And I'm beginning to appreciate more that there is a comfort in our particular zones. And I appreciate that. But let's change it a little bit, you know? And I think that one of the most radical moves from a comfort zone was what my parents did, leaving their village in Pakistan and travelling to Glasgow, where my mother tells me that she couldn't communicate with anybody, and for 1 full year she was crying. Yes. You know, and I think about the sacrifices that our parents and grandparents have made. What can we do to keep that spirit alive of moving out of your comfort zone, learning from each other, laughing with each other? I know there's a political correctness right now about asking certain questions and not asking certain questions. What do we do to ask questions in a way that are going to build us, that's going to build our society, our institutions, that's going to, you know, embolden our political institutions, so that our political leaders speak in a much more inclusive way? And we can do that by moving out of our comfort zone. So do something radically different. I do that, and I'm not saying, people think, oh man, you know, you've got such a wide... There are certain things that I would be completely... I mean, I'm learning about Irish history in ways that I was never taught this in Scotland. I'm embarrassed to learn about some of these horrible atrocities that happen. That's me out of my comfort zone, right? Rather than lumping everything in the UK and Ireland together. So let's do that a little bit more, try to understand people and listen more carefully to people's stories. What a wonderful piece of advice. It's been wonderful talking to you today, Dr. De Sondy. Can I welcome you to Kilkenny?
Thank you very much.
Hope you enjoy your stay here, and
thank you.
And we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
And so we've come to the end of our very first programme here at Studio 10, All About Kilkenny. I really hope you enjoyed the programme. Thanks to our guests who appeared on the show. Thanks to our great team behind the cameras. And do tell your friends and family about the programme. And we look forward to getting you back and welcome you back to Studio 10, All About Kilkenny. From me to you, bye-bye.